Good afternoon. Glad that you've chosen to spend some time studying the Bible with us today. Today we're looking at Mark chapter 6, verses 30 through 44. The apostles returned to Jesus and told him all that they had done and taught. And he said to them, "Come away by yourselves to a desolate place and rest a while." For many were coming and going, and they had no leisure even to eat. And they went away in the boat to a desolate place by themselves. Now many saw them going and recognized them, and they ran there on foot from all the towns and got there ahead of them. When he went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion on them because they were like a sheep without a shepherd. They were like sheep without a shepherd. And he began to teach them many things. And when it grew late, his disciples came to him and said, "This is a desolate place, and the hour is now late. Send them away to go into the surrounding countryside and villages and buy themselves something to eat." But he answered them, "You give them something to eat." And they said to him, "Shall we go and buy 200 denarii worth of bread and give it to them to eat?" And he said to them, "How many loaves do you have? Go and see." And when they'd found out, they said, 5 and 2 fish. Then he commanded them all to sit down in groups on the green grass. So they sat down in groups by hundreds and by 50s, and taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, he looked up to heaven and said a blessing, and broke the loaves and gave them to the disciples to set before the people. And he divided the 2 fish among them all. And they all ate and were satisfied. And they took up 12 baskets full of broken pieces and of the fish. And those who ate the loaves were 5,000 men. So in this passage, we get the miracle of the feeding of the 5,000. Now, we always call it the feeding of the 5,000, but we know there were probably at least twice that many people there because they were just counting the men. This miracle is significant because it is in all 4 Gospels. I believe it's the only miracle, other than the resurrection, it's the only miracle like that that's in all 4. It comes on the heels of Jesus having just sent the disciples out 2 by 2 to go and do their thing. And when they got back from that mission that he'd sent them on, they were amazed because they were able to do all these wonderful things. They were teaching, and they were casting out demons and healing the sick, all these different amazing things that he had empowered them to do. But now they come to this place, and they're finding out what it's like to be like Jesus. You don't get a lot of rest. There's not a lot of downtime because just about the time they're ready to kind of have a breather, all these people show up. And Jesus commented on this group of people, and he felt pity for them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. Now, they shouldn't have been. They had a king. They had King Herod, but he was a poor excuse for a king. He wasn't even really a king by standards of Israel law. And even if he was acceptable, like the Romans put him in place, we gotta hold our nose at that, but at least he's a good guy. No, he wasn't. He was a bad guy. He was a bad guy all around. So they didn't have that. The religious leaders that they had, the scribes and the Pharisees, they were letting them down. They were more concerned with exterior kinds of things and, their own place than the people's needs. And so Jesus says, they're like a sheep without a shepherd. That language isn't unique to Jesus. It comes from the Old Testament, and it always refers to the having been let down by those that should have been in authority over them, usually a religious leader. But Jesus is there for that purpose. And notice it says that he has them sit. Where does he have them sit? On the green grass. So, like a shepherd, he leads them into a pasture. And then he has them all sit down. But not before he talks to the disciples. The disciples, the apostles, they're called here. After they go on this mission, they're called apostles. The word apostle means sent. And so now they're living into this designation. They suggest, let's send these people away so they can get something to eat. They got to be hungry. And Jesus says to them, why don't you feed them? If you read in John, I believe it is, Philip is the one that says, send them away. And Jesus says, why don't you give them something to eat? Because Philip was from that area. So he's like, well, you know the places around here. You take care of it. But no, not here. He just says to them, it's just very generic, well, you take care of it. And they immediately think of this in human terms. Well, I mean, it would take money, an amazing amount of money. We don't have that kind of money to just get them all a taste. Even if there were a place close by that they could, that could be had from. So they look at the problem. They see the problem easy enough, but they immediately say, well, from a human point of view, this is impossible. But I wonder if Jesus was thinking, listen, Mr. Apostles, you just got back from your mission where you did all sorts of amazing things. Maybe that's not over. Maybe this is your next thing. But if that was a test, they didn't quite pass. Jesus said, okay, well, have them all sit down. He arranges them, 50s and 100s. They sit on the grass, and they take what they had, the 5 loaves and 2 fish, and Jesus thanks God for it, and then he starts breaking the bread and distributing it. It's interesting to me that some people will do anything to avoid taking the Bible at its word and just saying, yeah, this was a miracle of creation, that Jesus just made this tremendous amount of food appear. Well, no, really what he was doing was one boy gave his lunch and it inspired all the rest, except that it already said they didn't have anything to eat. They didn't have anything to eat. Also, if that were the case, I mean, like, the story just, it falls apart before you even get started, if that's the way you're going to do. No, it's a miracle. And I think that's why it's in all 4 Gospels, that it's significant. It has echoes of, Israel being fed manna in the wilderness. It's got all of that. It's got kind of a foreshadowing of the communion dinner, the, bread and the wine. But Jesus feeds them remarkably, and there is more than enough left over. There's 12 baskets full left over. Israel, since the Assyrian and Babylonian conquests, Israel had never existed as the 12 tribes. And they were always looking forward to the day when the 12 tribes would come back together. They didn't really have that experience, but they were looking forward to it. And here's Jesus feeding them so much that there's 12 baskets full. And I think that speaks to that, this coming in of a time of gathering that will happen in the future. But Jesus is doing kingdom of God stuff. In the kingdom of God, we are fed until we are full. We are satisfied. The bread of heaven satisfies a man's soul. We could spend a lot of time on this, but I think that it's good enough to just, first of all, accept that it is what it is. Once we start picking and choosing what we're going to believe out of the Bible, we don't believe in the Bible anymore. We just believe in ourselves. I think it was Augustine that said that. So we're just going to accept that it is what it is, and that Jesus has done a creation miracle here that will resonate down through the ages. I hope you're having a great afternoon. I hope that you're staying in the Word. As always, if there is a question or a comment you'd like to leave, I would attend to that. And if you have any questions about like resources, things like that, you can put those in the comments as well. Have a great day. I will see you on Saturday.